Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel. And as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be taking a closer look at the brand new GI Joe Classified Series Heavy Duty figure. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about this bad boy so that if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself, you can make a good purchasing decision. I'm going to give you a quick run through of the packaging for those who like to pick up mint in box, and then we'll get onto the figure itself, talk about the aesthetic and visual experience, talk about the articulation and pose-ability, and then have a quick run through of all the accessories and added value. And there's a bucket ton with this geezer, Jesus. And with all that said and done, when I've finished up the video, you shall have plenty of thorough information to make your mind up. So if you've got your pre-order, you can keep your pre-order or cancel it if it doesn't, tickle your fancy. Or if you're walking through a Target one day, you see him on the shelf, you go, yes, I'm going to get that one because Chris said it was good. Or no, I'm not going to get that one because Chris said it was bad. So let's get into it and let's go back in time now to visit past Chris, who's going to give his first initial impressions on the packaging when it arrived on his doorstep. So see you there. Okay then, folks, well, here is Heavy Duty in packaging then. You can see it's the usual GI Joe Classified Series routine. Got the carbon fiber motif, logo, he's a Joe, the window obviously at the front showing off the figure and all the lovely goodies. On the back there, we've got the digital renderer Heavy Duty with these mysterious jetpacked Viper dudes in the background. Get your guesses in the comments down below. Looking awesome. A few breakout windows showing off a few kind of key features, which all seem to be involved with his big machine gun table rocket launcher thing. Number 150 in the line. All the legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. And then we have the data card information. Let's take a closer look at this together and learn about Heavy Duty together. Right, first off then, some of you folks might think this is a falling bomb, but it's actually a fish. Heavy Duty is an avid angler. Likes to get his leave time, head out into the woods, find himself a lovely flash or river or lake, cast that rod in, catch himself some lovely fishies. Next up here, you can see an air purifier. Heavy Duty is very, very, very obsessed with the quality of air that surrounds him. Not very happy about shared barracks and sharing tents with his other Joe bros, and so he likes to get the air purifier in there, sort out the air quality, take away the fart smell. Then we've got this little cannon here. This is actually a model cannon, little whatever it is, 34 scale cannon, because Heavy Duty is also an avid Napoleonic War tabletop battler. Likes to buy his armies in, get them painted up, and then him and Leatherneck get together for a couple of battles, And then finally we've got this helmet here with a little line through it. That's because he's saying no to helmets. Nuh-uh, I've got my baseball cap. I don't need no helmet, brah. Then on this side, the painted artwork, great for the mint in box collectors who want to line them up in a row with the artwork on show. Something about this one doesn't appeal to me as much as others in the past, but personal choice and all that. Then QR code to nowhere, sepia version of the artwork, repeat the data card, repeat the number, all the usual bollocks and malarkey on the side as well. So there we are then, folks. There's Heavy Duty inbox for the mint inbox collectors, their little peek. But for the rest of us now, it's time to get this bad boy cracked open. I'm going to go away and spend a couple of days, get some hands-on man-child playtime in with Heavy Duty, and come back and report on the aesthetic, the added value, and the articulation imminently. So stick around. Future Chris is going to be with you in 3, 2, 1... Okay then, folks, well, let's get started with the figure himself and talk about the aesthetic experience of Heavy Duty. With the obvious small print, with the obvious caveat that the accessory selection is a big part of the visual identity. So stick around, I'll get to throwing it all together so you can see the full thing a little later on in the video. But as far as Heavy Duty as a kind of core GI Joe Classified Series figure goes, this guy looks really cool. That's the long and the short of it. Lots to like about this guy, just as a straight up figure without the big machine gun rocket launcher table thing around his waist and over his shoulders. It's got a nice look about it. Bringing him a bit nearer to the camera there, we can see he's got a good, just up to standard GI Joe Classified Series head sculpt on it there. Nice facial features, great paint applications with the goatee and the eyes and the eyebrows and stuff. Really nice. A lot of folks, some of the Joe Bros over on the Discord that I belong to, mentioned that they think he's got a resemblance to Terry Crews there, which I can kind of see that. It's the goatee design, isn't it? Very similar. Then, of course, the baseball cap, key part of his sort of visual identity there for anyone who used to be a DiC cartoon fan. And this lovely kind of, well, not so lovely lime green kind of setup here. The sculpting's nice on that. You can see the contour details in there. It's got all the kind of baseball cap stitching and air holes and stuff in it. Bit hard to see on the lighting on my camera, but it's there. And then around the back, you can see this lovely paint application, shred head there, little decal on the back of the cap with a bit of splash of colour, a little flick of orange on the underside of the cap's peak, and it's folded up there because he's a very stylish 90s dude. Moving further down the figure, got this gold chain with the massive gold bull medallion, nicely sculpted. Got the chain and kind of design in there, sculpt in there, which is nice to see. Then he's got this bandolier with his hand grenades, and that's got the sculpted in the straps and buckles and what have you. Got the little Joe Bro communicator on the shoulder there. These little green padded patches too, to make it a little bit more practical in nature. It's a bit of a faff, to be honest. You know, it's one of those things where you have to sort of make sure you got it nicely in position and aligned before you take your photo, and you don't knock it loose and it looks all a bit stupid. And what I've also been doing is taking this off when I've been putting his big, his big machine gun rocket launcher table thing off him, because it kind of bulks him up too much on the chest here, but that's fine. But then the shirt underneath, nicely sculpted, got his ripped sleeves there, super cool. Got all the sculpted detail and texture detail in there. Look at the kind of creases here across the belly. The shading, the colours are a bit different between the top section and the bottom section here, but not so much that it'd be body, it's negligible. It's kind of one of those fine detail things that a toy tube reviewer like me would hone in on, because I'm like really getting into the finer detail. Then we've got his belt across the middle again, a few paint applications on here with the further hand grenade collection clipped to the belt, which is fine. I'm always a bit aggrieved when there's not a nice paint application on the belt buckle on the top there, nor is there one on the belt underneath the over belt that's carrying all his gear. But it's fine. You got the sculpted pouch here, some more I don't know what these are, clasps around the back, so it's all right, but could have done with maybe a bit of a splash of colour. And then moving down into the legs, you can see you've got this usual texture detail in there, and this wonderful camouflage design with the two shades of green, and then these little kind of light greeny, yellowy looking sort of urban camo sort of patterns in there. And then the boots in the brown with the little splashes of green in there just to bring it to life. Although perhaps a little plasticky, not quite as leathery as some boots we've seen in the past. Got myself a watch on this wrist and a bracelet on that wrist. Well, I say a watch, actually. This it says BPM. So it's clearly a heart monitor, like a Apple Watch or something, or a Fitbit. I find he's got quite a bit of shelf presence when it comes to the colour scheme. The lighter green hat that kind of matches up with this sort of lighter green, yellowy pattern in his camo pants there. The khaki shirt just separates him a little bit from the crowd, gives him a little bit of flavour. So while he's sort of uniformal in the sense of being kind of military style colours and such like, he just kind of stands out. And the little touch of personality with the baseball cap and the bull medallion around his neck there, I think adds a little bit of flavour, a bit of personality, which gives it some nice storytelling depth. So overall, as far as aesthetic goes, the core figure is definitely a thumbs up from me, even without all the extra McGubbins, hanging off him. He's a really solid G.I. Joe Classified series character with just a nice aesthetic, a nice personality of his own, even without all the accessories on him. So yeah, really into that. And I have actually found myself using him quite a bit without all the gear. And putting him alongside other Joes without all the gear, which I think is, just an extra bit of added value. And I'll talk about one aspect of all that when it comes to this big beefy thing a little bit later on. But overall, yeah, aesthetically, I love the figure. It's got everything you want from your G.I. Joe Classified. Great head sculpt, great sculpting across the body, good colour schemes, good musculature. Yeah, it's a banger. All right, well, let's now take a look at his articulation, shall we? So, folks, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation scheme. So if you're not interested, you're quite happy, the articulation scheme, then I've put chapter marks in. You can jump ahead to the accessories and added value section. However, if this is your first ever G.I. Joe Classified series review you've ever seen, or you're interested to know if there's any particular quirks, I'll give you a quick run through. And I'm going to start with the head. So the movement on top here is not great. He's got the standard ball in the base of the skull and the ball at the base of the neck, but his down's not great, his up's not great. He can full 360, but the collar and the medallion get in the way of moving much further than sort of there and there. You can do a bit of the tilting and swiveling, but it's locked in. I might apply a bit of heat. I've not put a great deal of heat on this character to see if that loosens things up, but yeah, his up and down is a bit locked in. I don't know if it's something to do with the way it's sort of cut across the back, and then you've got the collar and the chain there or not, so obstructing it perhaps. But yeah, not fantastic. Then down into the shoulders, we've got the butterfly joint there, nice shuffle forward and back, and then it's the pegged in shoulders with the hinge, so you can go all the way around, full 360, and then you can get him up into a T shape like that. Got the swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep, a pinless double elbow that will get you up to there, then the pegged in hands, which can swivel all the way around at the wrist, and then this right hand has got up and down, and this left hand has got forward and back, although there is a couple of hand swaps that we'll look at later on. Into the torso, you can see you've got the diaphragm cut across the bottom of the chest there, and then the ball joint in the waist. Obviously, GI Joe quite often has, the crunch hinge in there rather than the diaphragm joint, but that's fine. So you've got good swivel at the top there, good swivel in the waist. The crunch forward's all right. The crunch back is all right. It's not quite as far forward or far back as the hinge would normally be, but it's decent. The standard drop-down joint there in the hips and in the groin, which gives you good forward. Full Russian ballet out to there, and that drop-down movement. Then got swivel at the top of the thigh, pinless double knee that'll get you up to there, swivel at the top of the boot, and then the hinge and rocker in the ankles. So aside from a slightly tight neck, heavy-duty moves good. I like the diaphragm cut from an aesthetic point of view, but it doesn't quite give you as much range of motion, but that's also fine in terms of what I've tried to do posing him up and some of the pictures I was taking the other day. So it's all good. It's just what you know, love, and expect from GI Joe Classified. No complaints on my part, so it's a thumbs up when it comes to articulation. Okay, so there's the articulation pose-ability. Let's now, probably going to be a longer segment of the video here, let's now get into the accessories and added value, shall we? And I'll get started with the alternative head sculpt here, so you can see that this is essentially a hatless version of the head sculpt. To all intents and purposes, is exactly the same, other than the fact you can see his hair. Otherwise, the facial expression is almost identical. It's the same standard of quality with the paint applications on the earrings, the eyes, the goatee, the eyebrows, and everything. You can just see his hair. So if you'd rather a hatless, heavy duty, there's your option. We then have this set of headphones or ear defenders, maybe, to protect his ears from the sounds of the rockets. I don't know, but it's all right. You can see the fit's not fantastic on either head. This one, all the baseball capped head, doesn't sort of fit over his ears perfectly. You can see that gap down that side there. So it's all right, and it's a nice addition to the bits box that you could possibly use with other characters in your GI Joe Classified, but I find the fit's a bit squiffy on him there. And then while we're sort of talking head accessories, we've got this little kind of targeting computer eye heads-up display piece here that hooks over his ear on this side and then loops around the back of his head, fits over his other ear, and then has the little display with the targeting information on it there on the eyepiece. It's all right. Mine's a bit loose. And as much as I try and sort of reshape it and tighten it up around his head, it kind of falls a bit loose. I'll do a bit of work on that, but it's fine. I also find on the baseball capped head, it's a little bit more difficult to get on him than on this one. But I like the idea. I like the concept. And once you've got it in place, it's a nice little aesthetic addition to the figure for sure. Then we have a couple of closed fist hand swaps there, one for each arm. These have forward and back hinges on them, and they're just nice if you want to get him into a sort of punchy boxing kind of pose. Always up for closed fist hand swaps, especially with GI Joe, so I can do my Yo-Jo. He's also got a couple of knives. These are fine, little serrated edges on them. Always nice to see the paint applications, the metallic paint application on the blade. Then got the nice handle on them there with the sculpted in details and the little kind of pinky finger loop or whatever. And these have both got storage on the figure itself, one on the side of the belt here and one on his right ankle there. And now into his man-portable heavy weapon system. Big, elaborate piece of gear, this. A lot more elaborate than I remember it looking in the old DiC cartoon, but we can see here that it's this big kind of backpack piece with then a fold-over section across the top of his shoulders, then a fold-under section that goes around his legs, and then an extra piece here, which fits onto the front of the unit there. Out of the box, you need to peg on these two little miniguns. We've also got his M202 rocket launchers as well, but I'll talk about them in a second. So these fit onto a little peg at the end there, giving you a range of motion. And then you get the kind of belt here, which feeds through a channel at the back of the backpack there, and then plugs into a little port at the bottom of each of the 2 miniguns over the shoulder. Lots of interesting little kind of decals and paint applications to bring this to life. So on the back here, you can see it's printed, the man-portable heavy weapons system, a little I don't know, like ammo pouch at the back here in the black paint application, then a readout with all kind of technical information to make sure it's operating to capacity and how much ammo it's got in it and what have you. Then we've got the little comfy brown padded sections here on the underside of the shoulder pieces. Matching brown padded section here around the control handles with a red button on the top and a trigger at the front. The front of the thing looks great. Look at all these kind of knocks and scrapes and what have you on these protective metal panels on the front there, which look really awesome. The little kind of bullet dings. Obviously able to take a bit of a hit from a small caliber round there, but yeah, that looks awesome with these extra little kind of silver details in there and stuff. And then we've got these huge cannons up the side there, and you can see all the sculpted details in there. Although a bit of a shame that these are just one single kind of sculpted piece of black plastic. Same with the miniguns there. It kind of could have done with a little touch or something to match up with all these other great kind of little extra details they've added to the overall unit in itself. And then we've got this piece at the front here. Again, it looks like we've got 2 big kind of ammo containers, crates on the front there, and then all the kind of sculpted detail, little vents and stuff on this section at the front. And then you can see these hooks on either side, and then this little clamp there for fitting it on the overall unit. So to pop it on him, you just kind of slide the figure through, peg the backpack into the peg hole there. Then what I've been doing is popping this front section into these clips at the front here, bringing it down over his shoulders, and then using the angle on the plastic to clip it in place. And there you go, there's your heavy-duty, now man-portable heavy weapon systemed up. Then the final touch is these 2 M202 quad bursts. It says here, invention number 2 in D minor. Little side note here, the lore for heavy-duty is that he's a classical music fan and an accomplished classical music guitarist. And so this is a little kind of Easter egg lore reference there, which I think is kind of nice. But a lovely little printed decal in that sort of military style stamping text. And then you've got all your little details here, like your little padded section at the back, the handle so they can use it shoulder mounted, a little targeting bit at the top, different shades of green. And then you've got these little mounting pegs to fit them to these pegs at the back there. And you can have one on either side. And then finally, we've got a little selection of blast effects and rockets. And as you can see, I've not even bothered taking these out. I've got no real interest in using them. They're reuse from, I want to say, heavy metal. The implementation's all right, but it's not great. I mean, if you see this one here, it looks decent enough. They're in the same sort of green paint color that matches up with his baseball cap. But when you pop the rockets in, they're just a bit kind of loose and they sort of stick out a bit. And look, they're just a bit, I don't know, look. Not great. So I'm not the biggest fan of those. So there were 2 in with the blister pack with the figure, and then you had this whole extra selection here. I will get around to popping that out sometime, but I'm not so interested in them, to be perfectly honest. I mean, they look all right, you know. So the accessory selection is decent. It's solid. I'll give it a thumbs up. The regulars around these parts will know that I love it when my GI Joes are a little bit balmy. That's for you, Colonel. A little bit balmy, a little bit out there, a little bit weird and wacky. And what's more weird and wacky than this crazy man-portable heavy weapon system, this big cable that straps to his waist and over his shoulders and fires rockets and shoots guns and stuff. So I love it all. My main criticism really is that when you go for the full setup, your posability is massively limited. It's kind of you do that and that's it. Maybe swap the head so he's wearing the cap version. There's not a lot you can do, at least to my limited talent and my limited imagination. But you can pop these off, have him holding them on his shoulders. I've done that. You can chop and change around, baseball cap, no baseball cap, targeting computer, no targeting computer, ear defenders, no ear defenders, whatever. That's all fine. I've got some of the other blast effects from my Viper 3 pack into the miniguns as well, and on the fronts of these here to add some layers. As you can see, I took the bandolier off because I feel like the fit is better with the bandolier taken off. Of that front panel from his man-portable heavy weapons system. So it's all good. Yeah, it's fun, it's daft, it's silly, it's just not quite as exciting in terms of what you might seek to do with displays or photography, etc., etc. But still, super added value for sure. The only omission, I would say, is he's got no small arms. He's got no pistol or a little submachine gun or just something. You know, if the Crimson Guard or a Viper manages to get in close, I can't see him getting a lot done to keep him at bay with all that. He's got his daggers, but I mean, how's he going to get that out of the sheath down there with this on him? You know what I mean? But let's not explore the reality of that too much because it's a silly little cartoon character, isn't it? And I love the fact that how they've reinterpreted this classifiedization of this big old weapons unit, a lot more elaborate than it was in the DIC cartoon, and that's fun to me. So there you go. Thanks for sticking through that. The accessories and added value, big segment, but obviously a big part of the character's visual identity and the stuff you can do with it. Let's now take a very quick look at him next to a couple of other GI Joe classified figures, shall we? Okay, folks, well, here is Heavy Duty next to Sergeant Slaughter and Roadblock, two other kind of bigger dudes, the kind of bulkier, more muscular fellas in the GI Joe lineup, or at least two of them. Body-wise, body shape-wise, obviously the diaphragm joint is different. You know, the hinge joint, diaphragm joint is different. They are ever so slightly taller and ever so slightly broader than him, but only by a wee touch. His knees are bent and he's got his legs spread a little bit more in this shot. But yeah, looking good with some more heavy weapons dudes, or just heavier set dudes. Here he is next to Bazooka, another kind of heavy weapons guy with kind of bigger shoulders, bigger body, a more heavier set unit in the team. Although Bazooka would tell you that it's not the size of your portable heavy weapons unit, it's what you do with it. Here he is next to all-time classified great Hall of Famer Tiger Force Outback. Just to give you a sense of the kind of body shape, size, and difference and height there, with a kind of more regular-sized GI Joe. And finally, to chuck a Cobra in there, or an Iron Grenadier, I suppose, to be more accurate, we have Heavy Metal, keeping it DIC cartoon for us all, with another somewhat portable heavy weapons kind of setup thing going on there. So here we are then, folks. Here is Heavy Duty making his way around on the turntable, so you can get a good 360 look at the figure with his machine gun rocket launcher table thingamadoodad on him. And I'll offer up some final thoughts while he's doing that. And yeah, he's just rollicking good fun. He's balmy, he's out there, he's utterly ridiculous in all the ways I love about G.I. Joe. And if that's what you want, if you're like me and that's what you're looking for, then he's awesome. But your mileage may vary if you're more interested in something a little bit more kind of grounded. A little bit more kind of less nonsensical and more practical in tone and nature. But I've had lots of fun with him, with the heavy weapon system on, the heavy weapon system off, get him with the rocket launchers on his shoulders. I've tooled him up with some spare guns out the bits box, grabbed some Valaverse weapon pack stuff, tooled him up with that as well. So it's all, your range of possibilities great. The accessory selection's awesome. So it all comes together. There's some bits in there with the implementation squiffy, the targeting computer headset piece, the ear defenders, bit squiffy to be honest. But outside of that, it's fun. It's just daft G.I. Joe fun, and I love it. I mean, look at the kind of the pure kind of science fiction-y edge on that. He wouldn't look out of place in amongst some kind of space marines from Aliens or something, would he? And I'm really into it, so I'm definitely giving it a recommend. Big thumbs up. I enjoyed having him as my desk figure this last week or so, and he's going to remain my desk figure for a little while longer too, because I think he's really awesome. The only thing is that he's just difficult to kind of pose up into fun dioramas once you've got him in the heavy weapon system. He's just a bit kind of statuesque in nature. So if you can get past that, then you'll laugh him. All right, dudes. Well, there it is. There's my review of Heavy Duty. Hopefully, that has been thorough enough that if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself or wondering whether you should keep your pre-order in, that's given you enough information to make your mind up. If it has, then do all the YouTube stuff. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, blah, 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 all of that. But in the meantime, all that remains to say is thanks so very much for watching. Absolute pleasure to have you with me here. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great week. And I'll see you around these parts again sometime soon for another vid. All right, so take it easy, folks. Bye-bye now.